You are Locked On Heat Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Heat fan? Man, I hate the Knicks. I just want to start by saying, man, yeah, I hate the Knicks. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, G-R-I-E-S, at Jim Grease _ on social media. Give me a follow, make you holler. And, oh, this game just made you mad tonight, didn't it? This game just made you seethe. It made you, you just wanted to rip off your own arm and beat somebody with it. At least I did. I don't know. But welcome to your Heat Postcast. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Like I said, call me Grease. Tough one tonight from Miami. There's no way around it. Look, 116-112 in overtime against the Knicks. You're at home. I think they're just about as good as the Knicks. I do not want to concede anything to the Knicks, so I feel like this is an even game. Look, there's clearly a discrepancy between the Knicks and the best teams in the East. There's no doubt about that, thanks to Eric Reed, always giving out great information in the telecast, as he so eloquently pointed out. Well, I'll let you wait for a second and kind of stew on that before I get to it. I don't know what's up with the layout tonight. This is the way we set it up every night for the postcast, and it just looks weird. But at least the rundown's there, and you can see it. The coloring's a little off, too, so we'll get that squared away on the network side. But Kaseya Center rocking like it does when Heat and Knicks are playing. You know, when the Heat and Knicks are going at it, that Kaseya Center is rocking. If the house is rocking, then don't bother knocking. I mean, I'm wearing the red. Yeah, the Heat, the Knicks. Look, Miami scored 62 points in the first half. Miami was shooting even better. Yeah, the Heat were shooting better than they had been shooting in even the past two games. And you remember how those two games worked out, right? Obviously, the win against Atlanta and the win against Indiana. Very good team in the East. And you hoped it would continue against the Knicks, because then you got the Wizards. Everybody beats the Wiz. If you're an East Coaster, you know that. Nobody beats. Well, everybody beats the Wiz. Look, they've been smoked. They're the worst team in the NBA, and the Heat get them tomorrow night. But this win was huge tonight to get for Miami, because you had that big lead. Two times you were up by 19 in this game. You don't have Wiggins, you don't have Jovic or Jaquez. A big look. That's three huge players missing, because you take Wiggins and he's a starter, but then you have to elevate into the starting lineup, and it didn't look good for Miami at key stretches in this game. You had Haywood Highsmith taking a three very late in a very crucial situation that he should never have been on the floor for, let alone been taken. And, you know, if Jovic and Wiggins were playing in this game, then obviously that would never have happened. All right, let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around. What is this? Must be a circus in town. Shuts down on these clowns. Can I get a witness? Tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins with FanDuel. All right, we love FanDuel. Proud sponsor of the show here. And I also want to remind you, while I'm on the subject, hey, we're free right here on YouTube, right? Right here on YouTube, we are free. Locked On Sports Miami, watching us here right now. If you're listening to the pod, then you know we're free on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. And we're free as well now on Roku, OTT. Yeah, you know me. You down with OTT? Yeah, you know me. That's over-the-top television, and that is, you guessed it, Roku. So we're free there as well. So I'm pumped to let you know about all the places where we are free. But also, hey, one more thing. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter, and I'm talking about Heat Postcast is free in all those places. Well, so is Locked On Heat, the podcast, and now also free with the newsletter. One stop for ultimate Heat and NBA coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Heat newsletter. All right, there you have it. All right, 116-112, and that's a tough one. Very, very, very tough one for the Miami Heat right now. And it is interesting when you think about the ways that this team plays with the different lineups that Spo's been tinkering with. Wiggins is here. He's been out a couple games now with the ankle. Jaquez sprained his ankle last game. Key bench contributor. Could have used his size against the Knicks tonight. But, man, they came out aggressive. Man, they came out hard tonight. you have to feel really good about your Miami Heat. You do. You really have to. You have to feel really good about your Miami Heat. You know what I mean? And I can't say it enough that this team has heart. This team has guts. This team has, in spades, it has desire. This team wants to win so badly. They leave it all on the floor every night. You love that about this team. You love this about your Miami Heat. You really do, right? I mean, there's nothing you could say about that. You really can't. There's nothing you could say about that. And I know that the effort is there, and you know that the intensity is there, and you know how badly they want to win. And you know Eric Spoelstra did not want Haywood Highsmith in that situation, taking that three down the stretch. There's no way that he should have even been on the floor. You know, I mean, look, Brunson scores 5 points in the first half. Karl Anthony Towns did nothing in the first half. Bam stifled him. Bam had a huge first half himself. And what a game Bam had. His shooting was off the charts tonight. Defensively on Cat, can't ask for more from Bam. Kel'el Ware, especially in the first half. Look, this dude had 5 dunks in the first half. He had 10 points, but he had 5 block shots in the first half on 5 dunks as well. So 5 blocks, 5 dunks, 10 points. Also had a bunch of rebounds, 8 rebounds, in the game tonight. So a lot of positives to take from this. Had Wiggins been healthy along with Jovic and Jaquez, would things have been different? I like to think so, because you'd have had more healthy bodies, one, because Wiggins is a really good player, a borderline all-star, number 2. So you think that, yeah, the game would have changed a little bit momentum-wise had those guys been there tonight. But I'm not really, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's that bad of a thing. I really don't think it's that bad of a thing right now for Miami. And I'm going to explain this in just a second. And so what I mean by that is I don't think it's that bad of a thing for Miami right now that you're losing games to the top teams in your conference, okay? You're losing games and you beat the Pacers last time out, and that's one of the top teams in the East. But when you look at the standings, this is crucial tonight, you're 2 games under 500. When you look at the standings, okay, and you start thinking about where this team is right now, the room for error is about that big. They don't have margin for error. So a game you're up twice by 19 points against a team that's way ahead of you in the standings that you would more than likely see in the first round if you're to get out of a play-in, and that's where Miami is. I mean, the last 2 years now, this year, play-in. So the Knicks got hot in the second half. In the third quarter, they got hot. The fourth quarter was it looked like old Heat Knicks games in the fourth quarter. If you watch, give me a holler in the comments. Let me know. You guys are always real good in the comments, night in and night out. But let me know what you thought about that fourth quarter, because that was old, knockdown, drag out Heat Knicks. You love that. It was 24-18. I think the Knicks outscored the Heat. You don't love that the Heat scored only 18 in the fourth quarter, but that third quarter, the Knicks were just putting it on them, scoring at will. It was the first half for Miami, and in particular, the second quarter, they had a real nice run. Miami did. And, I mean, look, they had a 19-2 run late in the second quarter, which led them to closing the half within that same run. It ended up being a 21-6 run. It was 19-2 at one point, 21-6 to close the half. 64% shooting in the first half for Miami. And you're thinking, hey, this is what they did against the Hawks. And you're thinking, hey, this is what they did against the Pacers. This Knicks team is not an upper-level team. New York, they're screaming, they're chanting Brunson MVP. He's not an MVP any more than I'm an MVP of the NBA, okay? He's not going to win the MVP. He's not an MVP. He's not a first-team All-NBA guy. He had 5 points in the first half, okay? Granted, 26 in the second half in overtime. Granted, big shots down the stretch against some tough defenders, and I'll give him that. But what I won't give the Knicks is upper echelon status. I will not give that to this team because they're not good. They're not an upper level team. They're not the Celtics or the Cavs. They're not. They're 0-3 against Cleveland, and they're 0-2 against Boston. And guess what? The average margin of victory for the Cavs and the Celtics against the Knicks in those 5 games is over 20 points. So Knick fans, step off with your big mouth and all your crap and go home and eat some of your pizza that you love so much in New York. And we know it's not as good in Miami, but go back there and get some, please, because your team's not a top team in the East. Your team's not a top team in the NBA. Your team is closer to the play-in level of the Miami Heat, the Magic, the Bulls, and those teams, even those teams in between. I'd say the Knicks and Pacers are about even. They're about dead even, right? And the Pacers beat the Knicks in a great 7-game series last year, and I think that they're about even. But when you look at the standings, right, and you look, Bam played great defense on Cat. all across the board defensively in the first half. They were great, but the Knicks are just not a really good team. They're not. In the playoffs, when they need buckets, it's going to be hard for them to get them. I just don't think – look, they're much better offensively than they were a year ago with Karl Anthony Towns, but I said it before the season on ESPN radio, and I'll be on there again this weekend during UFC 313. But ESPN, I said at the beginning of the year, I said, look, the Knicks are an overrated team, very overrated. And the Heat, unfortunately, I don't think they're overrated or underrated right now. They're exactly where they should be, which is play-in land, and that's where they're at. But fun team to watch. A lot of excitement, a lot of potential as Spo continues to tinker with these lineups. I do think they can make a run and get hot and end up out of those play-in games and end up in a comfortable 5 or 6 spot. Boy, you'd love to see the Heat play their way into that 5 seed. I don't know if it's going to happen because of one person and the way that I've seen his game going and the way that I've seen things progressing or not in this individual's play. I think right now, if this individual would elevate in one area, your Miami Heat have a great shot at being a 5 seed, maybe even a 4. I'll tell you who, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you why, and all that. Un momento, por favor. It's Heat Postcast, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're free on YouTube. We're free wherever you get your podcast, just as is Locked On Heat. And, of course, the Locked On Heat newsletter, which is at lockedondaily.com. Jim Greashopper, call me Grease, Gries, 116-112. The Heat fall to the Knicks in overtime at Kaseya Center. I'll take you through the ending of the game, which really, look, I mean, that's what it was. The Knicks have the best record in close games, second best in the league, first in the East, and you could see why the way the possessions unfolded down the stretch and the things that the Heat did versus the things that the Knicks did. And you're always calling the Heat such a very well-coached team, as am I, but they did not look like it down the stretch in overtime. I'll tell you what I saw on the other side. It's Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Jim Greashopper, call me Grease, and of course, it's your team every day. And there it is. All right. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about one of our incredible partners here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. They just absolutely nonstop come through for you, and they come through for me, and I love it. It is absolutely phenomenal to be associated with FanDuel, and I'll tell you why. One of the many reasons I love FanDuel is when the game tips off, you're just getting started. That's when the NBA action's getting started. That's when everything is just getting going. So why shouldn't you be able to continue getting your action in on the action as the action is happening, right? No better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you missed the opening tip-off or want to be right there on a fourth quarter comeback, get in on the action and stay there with FanDuel. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay, right? I love using FanDuel's live betting feature. It keeps every moment of the game exciting. I'm on the edge of my seat like I am right now. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, I never, ever feel, ever, like I missed my chance with FanDuel. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get a $150 bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. There you have it. Another great deal from FanDuel. Jim Greashopper, call me Grease. Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, 116-112. The Knicks got them in OT tonight. Getting closer to Marlins season, by the way, and we are talking about, not too far down the line. March 27th, opening day. The Marlins are right in their spring schedule right now, split with the Cardinals, I think, today in Florida, but in northern Florida. But what a great, just, I don't know, man. It just sense of anticipation heading into this Marlins season because of last year. And look at all those players they traded and just fed those contenders. And you're watching the playoffs going, those are Marlins. It's a Marlins guy. It's a Marlins guy. It's a Marlins guy. Imagine if all those guys had not been traded those last couple of years and Alcantara coming back healthy. Anyway, Marlins Postcast will be coming your way starting March 27th. We are also launching a Dolphins Roundtable show. They had originally told me February or March. Now I'm hearing second quarter for our Dolphins roundtable. Myself and Kyle Krabs, former player or two, will be talking twice a week about your Miami Dolphins and the draft is coming up. I think Miami could really be good this year, and I thought that last year, but the cards just fell differently than what they needed to have fallen like in order for the Dolphins to do that with Tua, with the injuries and everything else. All right, 116-112. The Heat lose tonight in overtime. Let's hit the stats for you. And look, we're still going to come your way with the stars of the game. We got that coming. We got your turning point of the game and your final score graphic as well. But 2 19-point deficits overcome by the Knicks. This really stings, man. The Knicks are not that good, first of all. They're not. They're not an upper-level Eastern Conference team. I've already said it. They're 0-3 against the Cavs. They're 0-5 against Boston. The average margin of victory for the Cavs and the Celtics over the Knicks in those 5 games, New York boy or girl, is over 20 points. So step off. Don't want to hear it anymore. And if you got anything to say, come say it in the comments. And by the way, while you're here, smash that subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know when we're coming your way with more content. And come on into the chat. Let me know what you thought about this game and everything that happened tonight. A 19-point deficit twice overcome by the Knicks. OG was an OG tonight, by the way. I really thought he played well, and that was something that, burned the Heat late in that game, was just the Knicks down the stretch. The 2 best players on the floor were wearing Knicks uniforms. It was Jalen Brunson, who scored 26 points in the second half and overtime, and then it was OG Anunoby. Help me, OG Anunoby. You're my only hope. Help me, OG Anunoby. You're my only hope. He had 23 points. Cat had 19 points and 16 rebounds. Why would you even put him in the recap after what Bam did to him tonight? 31 points, by the way, for Brunson. And Cat got exposed for the soft role of Charmin that he is, and he always has been. Look, he can score 19 and grab 16 rebounds. He could be the second leading rebounder in the NBA. And it's pathetic, by the way, that the second leading rebounder in the NBA is like 13 boards a game. A, it's a jump shooting league, but B, where are the rebounders, man? Where's Dennis Rodman? Where's Michael Cage? Where's Moses Malone? Where are those rebounders, man? Where are those rebounders that could grab 20 boards on any given night? They're just not there anymore. And I thought, by the way, Alec Burke's three-pointer, shout out to Burks tonight. He made some big shots. And these last couple of games with Davion Mitchell, although he was down the stretch tonight, he missed 2 free throws. He missed an open 3. He committed a bad foul late in the shot clock after they didn't foul for the first 20 seconds of the shot clock. Look, Bam lost a tip to a guy 7 inches shorter than him. He got stripped later on a possession late in the game. Tyler pulls up from 3 on a break, literally pulls up on a fast break when he's not sure. He was 1 for 7 actually had hit 2 for 8 at that point because he had hit 1 a minute ago and he was feeling it. But Tyler pulling up from 3 on a fast break, you're in transition. I have it all written down here, possession by possession, and it was trash. It was absolute trash, and I have no other words for it. It's just bad shot after bad shot. They made it to overtime after Highsmith with that ill-advised 3. And then they let the Knicks get the timeout and advance the ball to the front court because Tyler, took a shot too early in the shot clock. When Miami had the ball and a chance to take the lead or win the game, Tyler takes the shot too early. So he did that there. He pulled up on the 3 in transition. Bam loses the jump ball to a much smaller player. And then, Tyler, again, in overtime with an ill-advised shot. So 2 of them, actually, in a row, and just couldn't hit anything. His 3-point shot has deserted him. And this brings me in. I'm going to get to the box score real quick in the team stats before we wrap this segment. And then in the final segment of the show, we'll give you the stars of the game, the turning point, and all that. Get ready for the Wizards, and they have to win that game tomorrow. Now, obviously, 28-31, the Knicks at 40-20. But when Tyler Hero decides to start shooting the 3 again, the Heat are going to be really good. And when Wiggins gets healthy, because Wiggins out with the ankle and Tyler just not hitting 3s at all right now. He was 2 of 11 from beyond the arc and 8 for 24. They can make excuses for him all they want in the postgame show with Crotty and Reed sitting there, and Crotty's going, well, it was fresh defender after fresh defender. True. Word up. I'll give you that. Fresh defender after fresh defender on Tyler Hero, an all-star, and the 3-point shooting champion during All-Star Weekend. He's got to be better. And again, Terry Rozier relegated to a 16-minute type of dude, not hitting anything, 0 of 2 from 3. So just not a good night all the way across the board. And the shooting was really good in the first half. Bam was outstanding. Let me give you the box score. before we hit the break. All right, we're up against it. Let's do it now. 31 for Brunson, 26 after halftime. He was still just 3 of 11 from beyond the arc, but 31 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds, 13 of 25 overall. Not impressed. He's not a first-team All-NBA guy. He might not even be. I don't think he's a second-teamer. I mean, look, everyone wants to chant MVP. I don't see it, and I don't see the Knicks as an upper echelon team. Again, 5 losses to the Celtics and Cavs this year. Average margin of defeat over 20 on all those. Okay, so there you go. And let's see, what else for the Knicks? 23 for OG. Tonight he did a great job, and I can't take anything away from him. I like the way he plays the game, OG Anunoby, and I just can't say, yeah, he burned the Heat big time tonight and made some huge shots down the stretch. Hart didn't do anything all night, made a big layup late. They let him right through. He had 14 points. So 31 for Brunson, 23 for Anunoby, 19 and 16 for Cat, 6 of 11 from the floor. Bam really actually neutralized him. McBride scored 12 off the bench for the Knicks. How about for the Heat? 30 points for Bam Adebayo, 12 of 16 from the floor, but he missed his last 2 shots. After making the first 2 shots and scoring the first 4 points for the Heat in the overtime, only had 7 rebounds, still stuck in that tie, franchise record holder for double-doubles with Ronnie Cycli, but it's been like 7 games since Bam's had a double-digit rebounding game, and come on, man, really? 30 points, though, tonight for Bam, and a very nice effort for him. Speaking of which, Kel'el Ware, 12 points, 8 rebounds, had 6 dunks, and 6 block shots in this game. 22 points for Tyler. Again, the misery continues from beyond the arc and shooting in general. Also, double figures for Ware, Davion Mitchell, Burks, and Duncan Robinson, and 8 for Haywood Highsmith, although barely drew the front of the rim on a huge 3 when it was 105-103 when they separate the men from the boys. Real quick with the team stats up against the break. Miami shot 53% to 48 for the Knicks, 31 from 3 for both teams. The free throws, 11 of 16 Miami, 10 of 15 New York. Rebounds, plus 12 for the Knicks at 46-34. And the turnovers even at 13. The blocks even at 6. The steals even at 5. Points in the paint, 58-56 New York. Largest lead, 19 for the Heat, 5 for the Knicks, who won by 4, 116-112. Up against the last break of the show. On the other side, stars of the game, turning point, final score, and also get you ready for Everybody Beats the Wiz. This is Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, 116-112. The Knicks got them in OT tonight at Kaseya Center. All right, we got it. There it is. It just took an extra second to get there. Man, those pictures on Imagine took forever tonight. They finally hit. There were 20 pictures at halftime, and 17 of them were of Knicks. And the Heat were smoking them, and I'm like hitting my boss going, hey, man, where's the... And then after the game, you wait. You're ready to start the show. Tick, 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 tick. And then finally they hit. And it was mostly all Knicks stuff again. But this is Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, and I love DoorDash, probably a little bit too much, at least if you ask my lady. Too many charges, but I get as many of them removed or reduced as I can. With the great deals they have on DoorDash, she just doesn't want me to be lazy. I love it. NBA fans, so do you. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. That's a 12-hour window. So a few ways you can take advantage of this deal. What about a game day feast? Hey, right after the game, celebrate. Order wings, pizza, burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door, and thank the 50-point scorer for getting you 50% off. What about late night cravings? Hey, you don't get anything right after the game, but maybe a little bit later on, you're going, hey, I get 50% off because KD or Devin Booker. I almost said KD or Kevin Booker, KD or Devin Booker, or any of those guys, Ja Morant, and Edwards, any of them go for, notice I haven't said Brunson, go for 50. You can stay up late, watch highlights, just need a midnight snack. You can get DoorDash taken that way. You can get lunch on the go the next day, or maybe a watch party the following night. You know what I'm saying? You have that 12 to 12 window for your snacks, your meals, discount, 50% off up to $10 on DoorDash. So here you go. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. All right, noon to midnight the day after the game. That means if they score 50 points on a Sunday, noon to midnight on Monday. If they do it on a Saturday in the park, that means Sunday fun day is going to be that much better with DoorDash. Visit DoorDash to learn more. You know, you could say the Heat ran out of gas tonight. You could say that missing Wiggins, especially Wiggins down the stretch, but the toughness of Jaquez, the versatility of Jovic, yeah, big audience right now. Love you guys. Thank you so much. We're free here on Locked On Sports Miami on YouTube. We're free on Roku, OTT. Yeah, you know me. I'm down with OTT, and you should be. I could do this all night long, right? And then, of course, if you're listening on the podcast, we got you at Spotify, Apple, iHeart, you name them, we're there. Also Stitcher, Podbean, and it's FREE. That spells free, as well as Locked On Heat. Those guys do a great job every day. After the games, you only want to be here for the postcast, day in, day out. There they are, Locked On Heat, and the Locked On Heat daily newsletter, Heat and NBA coverage right in your inbox. Hey, LockedOnDaily.com. All right, 116, 112. Yeah, I know. It really was crummy tonight, the way the Miami Heat lost that game down the stretch, and the Knicks are the best in the NBA at close games. They kept saying it on the show throughout the night. I'm like, bro, stop it with the manifesting. Will you please? You're going to make it materialize. And they did. Now, Davion Mitchell with incredible on-ball defense. He was just in Brunson's shirt the whole first half. He took Josh Hart out of possessions. He was just fantastic defensively. But, man, late in the game, his defense sets up a great play where he draws a foul on defense, right? Misses both the free throws at 3:25. It's 199. You're up by a point. The Knicks took their first lead of the game on the next possession after he missed those free throws. These are the things that I'm talking about, game in and game out. Now, it's 101-100 Knicks. It's coming down the stretch. You're inside of a minute. Tyler Hero is terrible, 1 for 8 from 3 tonight, and he comes down, and look, he's got to take the three here. Takes a dribble to his right. Two guys coming straight at him. Man, he rattled it home. Tyler Hero gave him back the lead, 103-101, and you're thinking, wow, get hot now, Tyler. Get hot now. Let's send these chumps home with an L. You know what I'm saying? And you're right there. You're going back-to-back. You beat the Pacers. You beat the Knicks. Pacers and Knicks are on the same level, man. They're both real good teams. Not as good as Cleveland or Boston. Stop it, Knicks fan. You've had 5 games against the Celtics and the Cavs this year, and you've lost all 5 by an average. The average margin of defeat you have tasted against those two teams in those 5 games is over 20 points, all right? So then the Heat get a defensive stop. It's 103-101, and what happens? Tyler Hero walks the ball up the floor and gets called for an 8-second. I would lose my mind if I were Spo. I'd run out of the court and tackle him and yank him back to the bench. I really would. That's terrible. You walk the ball so slowly up the floor that you get hit with an 8-second call and a turnover. You know what I mean? And it just is, you get 110 left in the game, and, neither team seems to want it. Tyler hits a 3, next possession, very tough pull-up. He actually could have been a foul call. I think the refs were kind of favoring the Knicks a little bit tonight, looking for a goaltend on Ware that wasn't there early. Couple of things that Miami got overturned. They missed a foul call late on Brunson where Miami still lost the challenge because they challenged it over the possession, not the foul, but it ended up being Miami's ball. And yeah, and they, Tyler hit the runner. So then Anunoby was, you're my only hope, hit a big shot there. And then, you're at that phase of the game. It's 105-103 inside of 40 seconds, and you got Highsmith shooting a 3. He shouldn't be on the floor. He plays great defense, shouldn't be on the floor in that spot, and neither should Davion Mitchell. Jovic is out. Wiggins is out. Rozier is on the mentally unable to score list or whatever. I don't know what's going on with him. He's averaging 24 a game when we got him. Now he's here. He's not doing anything. That's a point in time in the game where Rozier should be on the floor and Wiggins, and instead you have Highsmith shooting that 3. Barely scrapes the front of the rim. You know what I mean? He's just didn't step up and take advantage of the opportunity. So he barely hits the front of the iron, and then Brunson for the tie. Of course it's going to go in. Of course it's going to go in, right? the Knicks, Tyler gets the ball. He shoots a little bit too early, misses, right? 3.5 seconds left. The Knicks call timeout. They advance it to the front court. Great D by Mitchell on Brunson. Misses a jumper, and they send it to the corner, and it's short from Hart because Brunson got literally worked by Mitchell, right? He goes in toward the paint. Mitchell cuts him off, allows the double team from Bam to get there, and they shut him down, right? By the way, smash that subscribe and hit that bell while you're here as we continue with Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, free here at Locked On Sports Miami, also on the Roku, and then wherever you get your podcasts, that'd be Spotify, that'd be, you know what I'm saying, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, all those. But, Miami, great defense on Brunson. They make Hart miss the shot from the corner, and then they go to overtime, where the Knicks were 4-0, now 5-0, and the Heat 3-3, right? So Bam scores the first points of OT, hits a long jumper, right? Then Bam hits another shot, and the Heat go up by 4, right? The Heat go up by 4. It's 109-105, and from there, they got outscored 11-3, and the Knicks closed OT on an 11-3 run because Tyler kept shooting the ball. Bam was hot, and Tyler on a break in transition, early in the shot clock, pulls up and shoots a 3. You're not shooting well from 3. That's a bad shot. Had it gone in, the place goes crazy. I understand. That's a bad shot. That is a bad shot. So then Brunson, of course, gives the Knicks the lead, and then they have a jump ball. Bam he loses the jump ball to a player 7 inches smaller. Then, Alec Burke hits a 3 to make it 114-112, and you're thinking, wow, they still have a shot, right? Nope. Because, Davion Mitchell missed a 3. He missed 2 free throws. You know what I mean? So Burks hit the 3 to make it 114-112. But nope, it wasn't to be for Miami. Too many bad missed shots, too many bad shot choices. Bam had a turnover late where he got stripped. He lost a jump ball to a much smaller player. Tyler taking ill-advised shots and not hitting anything. Tyler Hero right now. And it really is, right? It's one of those things with this team right now where you just don't know who you want shooting the ball in a big situation down the stretch. It's almost going to have to be who's hot because Tyler's not that dude. He's not that dude, and he's definitely not that dude right now. Brunson is. He proved it tonight. Tyler's not, and he proved that. So with Wiggins out there, it changes things a lot defensively. It changes things a lot offensively. You can do so many more things. But with Tyler Hero taking ill-advised shots early in the shot clock, bricking them, and then, Bam getting stripped, and he loses a jump ball. So I just don't think that I just don't think they have that guy down the stretch. I don't think they have that go-to. Does that mean they can't win a ton of games and, get a 4 or 5 seed? No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. But right now, the way things are looking, you got the Wizards coming in, you get back into the win column, but then you go to Cleveland, then you got the Timberwolves, the Bulls and Hornets sandwiched in between, Clippers, then Celtics. This thing could get out of hand fast if you don't get things together. Jovic is still 3 weeks away from coming back. Jaquez has got the bum ankle. Wiggins, too. They are just starting to hit that groove, and they're hitting shots they were shooting so well. This is a very discouraging loss. You're up twice by 19. You have to win this game. You have got to win this game, and this is a team that's, look, a number 3 team in your conference, and I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. It makes me feel good. 0-5 are the Knicks against the Celtics and Cavs. Average margin of defeat more than 20 points. They don't have an MVP candidate. They don't have a first-team All-NBA player. I don't think they have a second-team All-NBA player. I really don't. Oh, look at that. The Heat podcast. Never mind. Okay, so, Cleveland coming up, Boston coming up as well for Miami. So the Knicks go to 40-20. 19-10 away from home with the win tonight for New York. But Miami at 28-31 now, behind Detroit at number 7. Orlando 29-33. And so they're in that mix. But, man, you wanted to get that win tonight, didn't you? You really wanted to get that win because with Washington coming up, you'd have thought, like, hey, man, we could get to, 30-30, and then we'll be right there. So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of basketball to be played. Wiggins will get healthy. They're hitting their stride. They have a pretty favorable part of the schedule coming up. But it starts tomorrow night, and that will be against Everybody Beats the Wiz. And you better hope you do tomorrow night, Miami. So the Wizards and the Heat will tip it off at 7:30. We'll be here right after with your postcast. Remember, after the game, the only place you want to be is right here, Heat Postcast, Locked On Sports Miami. We're live right here on YouTube. And then a half hour after that, We're free wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, all that. Locked On Heat, the podcast, day in and day out. You hit them in the daytime. You hit us, hit me, Heat Postcast right after the game. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, Gries, at Jim Grease _, on social media. Give me a follow, make you holler. Again, the only place you want to be, don't get twisted by the wording. It's Heat Postcast. Post, P-O-S-T, Postcast right after the games. You know what it is. You've been here, and the audience is big. We're burning it up right here. And I think this Heat team is going to do phenomenally well going down the stretch. You guys know how I feel about that. Real quick, we hit the final score, 116-112 in OT. Yeah, I know. He's got the arms up. You hate seeing Anunoby like that, but he was huge tonight. Brunson's like, I don't know, man. I'm not a Brunson guy. He needs 1,000 shots to score 1,000 points. And I mean, look, he's all heart. I love him for so many reasons, but the Knicks fans are actually the reason why I kind of don't like him. It's not even him. All right, there you go. How about the moment, the turning point of this game? And there's Brunson. See him there right behind me? And there he is again. You can't get away from him. I wish the Heat would have done something down the stretch to stop me from having to stare at Brunson so many damn times right now. But Heat go ice cold in the second half in OT after the red-hot shooting in 62-point first half. Man, what you're just watching it and you're seeing it happen, and they still almost pulled it off. All right, so the biggest star of the game, obviously for a Knick fan too, and let's just get it over with and get this dude off my screen. Brunson. All right, yeah, there you go. Jalen Brunson, and you know what it was tonight for the Knicks. Jalen Brunson had 5 points at halftime, but he is a great player, and he ended up with 31. He was 3 of 11 from 3, 13 of 20, but 25 shots to get 31 points. It missed me with that. Anyway, 31 points for Brunson. He's one of the stars of the game. The other two stars, first, number one, would be Killer K, and he didn't do much in the second half. He had a great first half. Ends up Kel'el Ware with a good game. Could have been much better. He had 6 blocks tonight and 8 rebounds in 29 minutes. 8 rebounds, 6 blocks in 29 minutes. In the first half, he had 10 points on 5 dunks, and he had 5 block shots in the first half. And in the second half, he didn't do so much, but a great, great job in the first half where he's improving. He's getting better game in and game out. And then the other star of the game for your Miami Heat, hey, we might as well keep it going. Got you locked in right now. The audience, the numbers are big. They can do as many shows as they want on the other channel. It doesn't matter. We're the Postcast. Bam Adebayo, star of the game. Look at Bam. Look at Bam tonight. 30 points for Bam. 12 of 14 shooting for Bam. Tremendous job for Bam Adebayo in this game this evening. And, you know, when you look at Bam's overall play, he's not going to shoot 12 of 16 every game, but that's a phenomenal night for Bam. And, you know, even if Bam's right here shooting, 8 of 16, you're still looking at 22 points and 7 boards. I want to see him up the rebounds. The assists have kind of disappeared a little bit since the Jimmy for Wiggins deal went down. Kel'el Ware, it's become more of a Towers thing with he and Bam, but look at Bam Adebayo in the grill of Karl Anthony Towns. Now, that's a 7-footer. That's a guy who's got a few inches on him, right? But everything Cat got tonight, he worked his ass off for. There is nobody on the Knicks team playing right now, nobody more tired than Karl Anthony Towns. There's nobody stretched out sleeping quicker than big old Cat because Bam gave him everything he could ask for and then some tonight. There's a reason why Bam was on the Olympic team and Cat wasn't, and Bam hung 30 of those reasons on him tonight, playing great defense along the way. Cat had 19 and 16, don't get me wrong. He's still a force, but the number 2 rebounder in the league at 13 and one of the top scorers in the league, he was outplayed by Bam Adebayo and outplayed in a big way tonight. I have to give Bam that credit, and I also have to do this with Bam. I've been saying for a long time, and I was saying, because I haven't been saying it the last 8 or 9 games, for a long time before that, Bam needs to score 20-plus per game. Bam really needs to take more shots, elevate his offensive play. I've been saying that for a long time, and he's done that very much so recently. Very much so. He's done that, okay? And he has done it in a very big way. So props to Bam. Tremendous job. I think Mitchell, even though he missed a 3 and a couple of free throws that were huge tonight, has been great. Defensively, he's not a 40-minute game, though, a game player, though, Spo. And, you know, you need Rozier to be that dude. Mitchell, maybe even if he starts, Rozier's still got to, I love Rozier in the role of, the microwave Vinny Johnson coming off the bench and just lighting it up. He's just not doing it. And Duncan tonight came back to earth a little bit, 10 points after the last 2 games, over 20 for him. So, hey, it is what it is. But I have a lot of faith in this team. Their coaching, the organization, straight on down. It's all there. But what's not there with Wiggins being out and Jovic is out, those are 2. They would have been on the floor, would they not have, in that moment? Because you looked at that team that they had on the floor, and you had Highsmith on the floor earlier in the game, and then Burks later in the game, and he started tonight. But when you have Tyler and Adebayo and Duncan on the floor, right now, what else do you have? You got Bam down low. Maybe you go Khalil Ware at the 5, okay? But that's 2 guys who can't shoot a 3. Bam will hit one every once in a blue moon. But then you got Tyler, and then you got Mitchell, and then you got Robinson. So you have Mitchell out of the game, and you have Burks. So if you go Burks and Robinson and Tyler with Bam and Khalil, you still have 2 guys who can't shoot a 3, and Tyler who's ice cold right now. So your matchups are not favorable in those situations, and that's why with a big lead against a team like the Knicks, you have got to put them away because you cannot let them get in a situation. Look, when it's hoop for hoop, possession for possession down the stretch, you're not beating that team. You're not beating Brunson. You're not beating OG. You're not beating Hart, who had nothing all game, and then he gets a big layup late. Bridges had a bad game, but you're not. It's just not going to happen. You have to put them away when you get the chance, and they didn't do that. We're way past the end of the show, but the numbers kept surging, and we love having you here. So please come on in and give us a little bit of love in the comments, and definitely, give us a subscription if you would. Hit that subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we're coming your way with more content. And Cesar Conrado says it best. Hero is the most inefficient player in the league, and by that, I don't mean that I 100% agree with that, but what I mean is come strong with your comments in the chat. Good job, Cesar. And look, I'll tell you this about Tyler Hero, okay? He was very inefficient down the stretch tonight, but earlier in the game, if you're watching and you're looking at him, he had 7 assists in the first half. He had 18 points in the first half. Tyler Hero was playing great in this game. And then what happens is, Cesar and everybody else down the stretch, you know what happens, man? He draws the toughest assignment. The best defender gets put on him. Fresh guys coming on him nonstop. Of course, the doubles are coming at him. They're not going to let him beat you. Then what happens? He doesn't. And the Heat don't have that other player who can right now. That's why Jimmy was so important. Wiggins too, but he's out with a sprained ankle. Had he been there tonight, probably a win for Miami, and those obnoxious New York fans wouldn't have been screaming MVP at a player who has as much chance of winning one in the NBA as I do or as you do in Jalen Brunson. There's no way with all these players at the top of the league with Jokic and Luka and Embiid's out now, but so many great players, and Edwards at the top of the league. There's no way. Tatum, you know what I mean? You're not winning. And Donovan Mitchell with the Cavs being what they are right now. And how about the number 1 MVP candidate in the league right now, SGA? Gilgeous-Alexander from Oklahoma City in the year that he's having. But the Heat play the Wiz tomorrow night, 7:30 tip-off. We'll be here right after with your Heat postcast, as we are every game. Right here is the only place you want to be on the Locked On Podcast Network after every game. POSTCAST, P-O-S-T, POSTCAST right here. Heat POSTCAST on the Locked On Podcast Network. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, G-R-I-E-S, 116-112. Yeah, the Knicks did it again. It was too much Brunson. It was too much OG, and it was not enough Tyler Hero when they needed him. We did need him to step up tonight and be somewhat of a hero, and he did make a couple of big shots to get it to overtime. I'll give him that, but those were all he made in the second half and nothing after that either. We will be here tomorrow night right after the Wiz game. Until then, I want you to do yourself a favor. Pat yourself on the back. Thank you so much for being the best part of the network, why we do what we do, and the numbers increasing every time. So thank you for being here free on YouTube. Remind you we're on Roku as well. OTT, you down with OTT? Yeah, you know me. And then, of course, the podcast. Free on Apple Podcasts, free on iHeart, free on Stitcher, Podbean, and, of course, Spotify. That's all there is, Heat fan. There is no more. 116-112, the Knicks win in overtime. Choke on it as I say it. On the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Keep your game tight and your mind right. We'll talk to you tomorrow after the Wizards game.